Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Right, so here's a solo where we can now start to implement some diminished ideas. You know, in this solo I'm just going to use just this very typical pattern. But like I said in the first video, we're not really trying to reinvent the wheel, just now start to, incorporate to our playing as we reach this 4 chord, just, flavour it a little more with some diminished as we go back to the 1. So this solo starts with this thing we've been using a lot. So they're all picked 2 times until we reach the 7th fret on the 5th string. So 2 times the 5th fret on the 6th string. Then 4, 5, 6 on the A. And reaching this E note on the 7th fret of the A. And then I give that 2 strikes, sort of flesh that out into a 7 sharp 9 chord. So 7th fret on the A, 6th on the D, 7th on the G. There's our basic 7th sort of triad, and then this sharp 9. And the 8th of the B. I think I tried to play a bit more towards the bridge on this, keep it more of a sort of twangy thing. And just, so like I say, reach that E note and then sort of 2 kind of accents. It's not really conscious, but I guess, from reading a lot, of other guitar players and musicians over the years, and they often talk about when, you're maybe doing like a single line thing, and then these chord stabs, they talk about these big sort of, brass band ensembles, and they're blasting out these things, and I'm not really consciously thinking about that, but that's kind of the idea. You just, you have some, single line stuff. Then you give these kind of punctuated big brass stabs, if you will. So that's, the intro. And that's, I use that a lot in some ways so that, we don't become accustomed to just like associating that thing with just, one particular class here or exercise. And it's just used as a starting point to go in a lot of different directions, at least starting solos different ways. So then I start with this kind of typical, just decorate the, the root note of our A. So I'm playing 7, 6, 7 on the D. And then I kind of do this repeating idea. So kind of really just moving up the blues scale on the G string. So I'll be playing the 5th fret on the G, which is the the flat 3rd of our A. And when I was first doing this, I started it just playing as like the single note, and I'm kind of sliding down off that. But then it kind of came a bit more of like not a full double stop, but just a bit more pressure on the G string, because my fingers kind of fretting those up, the B and the E string anyway. By picking down, it kind of just fleshed out that single note as a bit more crunchy. Not an intentional double stop, but just helps to, again, it's as if, there's one instrument playing. And then on these slides, this kind of accent and slide, another instrument joins in for that. So then I just move those up. I do change here, I think, my, rather than play with my 3rd and 2nd fingers of this. As I'm now going to move up this G string, I kind of change to my 2nd and 1st fingers. I use my 2nd finger, kind of flatten that a little, because I'm looking for the 7th fret on the G. And again, kind of just by the way it is, it catches the sort of B string a little bit as well with the, the pressure of the strike. When I say pressure of the strike, it's not because I'm picking hard, just, And again, give those a little bit of a slide off. Pick again 7, 6, 7 on the D. And now do the same thing on the 8th of the G. Again, because it's kind of barring a little bit, you're going to get some of the B rinking through a little. That's how I blues note. And then I kind of reach up to this ninth on the G, our E, and do the same again. Probably use my third finger there, I guess. I have to watch the sort of run through myself to see which fingers I use. Yeah, probably my third for those final two there. And it doesn't really matter sort of what the notes on the B are. It's sliding down so fast, really. It's more about this kind of motif we're developing, just to to kind of develop something. And now in a moment we'll go to our 4 chord, and we just kind of finish that off with. So I'll go back to my original kind of fingering with the 3rd and 2nd, and 7, 6, 7 again on the D. Then sort of barring with my first finger the 5th on the E and the B. And because I picked that up, again, I'm really just aiming for the E string, but catching the B, just because it's fretted. Then we come in for this kind of pull off. So 8, 7, 5 on the G. And then finish on the 7th of the D, our root the A. Maybe slide down, I'm not sure. So now we're reaching our 4. So our D7 or D9. So here I just, so our root, our D, so 7, 6, 5 on the G. Typical movement, root down to the flat 7. So then 7th on the D. And that's kind of the idea that I'm going for, just outlining this D7, we think of. So these are all just our chord tones from this D7. So 7, 6, 5 on the G, 7 on the D. And I just kind of move that flat 3rd into the major 3rd of our D. So 2 times the 3rd fret on the D. Now normally that might sort of feel like the end of a phrase, and it could be, but because that's our kind of target, our resolution, this 4th fret on the D. But I'm going to use that as the starting point of this diminished idea. So we do the 4th fret, 7th fret on the D, and this is still part of, although I'm thinking of now our diminished idea, these notes are still part of our D, or D7. Same here, still thinking of our diminished idea because of where I'm going to, but it's still part of our D7. And now 8th fret on the G, 7th on the B, 5th on the E. We'll finish that on the 8th on the E. There's our diminished idea. Moving back to our 1 chord. And for me, it's kind of like a nice time to bring back this kind of chordal stab idea. So I just do a regular A major. It kind of, sometimes it's, you want something a bit more, I don't know, spicy than an A. But it felt nice coming from this diminished idea, which was kind of tense enough just to have the kind of just the, the full warm resolution of just this A major. So then I play the 12th fret on the high, which is the E note, part of our A chord anyway, We know that sound anyway. But I'm going to kind of pick that as its own little thing. Bit of a pause and then walk back down to the 9th on the E. It's got our chord tone, so. So that A major is just the 9th on the G, 10th on the B, 9th on the E, then 12th fret on the high E, then 11, 10, 9 on the E. And again, kind of answer that and do something similar. This time it's only 2-string, it's a double stop, not a chord, but 5th fret on the E and B strings. So. And I kind of answer that with a very typical phrase. So 5th fret on the double stop, the B and the E. Then 7th on the B. Then hammer from the 5th to the 6th on the G and finish on the E note, the 5th on the B. So now moving to the 5 chord. So just quickly. So now to our E. The idea was that I'm kind of sliding into this major third. Which would normally be like, the 8th to the 9th on the B. To the 8th, to the 7th on the high E. Or sometimes, more often than not, perhaps, rather than the 8th to the 9th, the 7th to the 9th. But rather than these kind of ideas, I actually decided to do more of, because, I guess, want to do a class or some double stop, so I guess that was in my mind. I didn't really play it as a double stop, but kind of in that position, so I'm giving it that bend. It just changes it from the more static notes and just puts a little bit of tension, a little bit of sort of possible crunch in there of notes. So 8th fret on the B, give that a little bit of a bend, and then 7th on the E and 9th on the E. Back to the 7th on the E. And then pull off from the 10th, 9th, 7th on the E. Which is like an E7 chord. And then kind of sort of finish that higher stuff with a 9, 7 again on the E. And we kind of walk down this. What sometimes for me is like this. This kind of E9 scale, so then 9, 7 on the B, and then 9, 8, 7 on the G, which we did before on the D. So, we kind of mirror certain things of these ideas because that's our root down to flat 7. That's where that would be. But rather, I just sort of descend a little bit more. So 9, 8, 7 on the G, 9 on the D, and 6 on the D, which is the 5th and 3rd of our E. Just kind of playing in reverse, like you always say, we do this all the time. So it's just those notes. G sharp, kind of the perfect sort of leading tone back to our A, because now we're back to our 1 chord, and this will be our kind of turn around 1 bar on the A and 1 on the E. So let's see. And I think I can't remember if I did it into that kind of maybe a bit of a slide into that kind of bend over, you know, when we. You know, you can give it, yeah, I mean, that gives it a nice bit of a sort of bluesy sound as well. Don't bend too fast or too high, or like overbend. Then we do this kind of, you know, melodic embellishment idea on the A. Kind of a little bit syncopated. So 7-6-7 on the D, 6-5-6 on the G, and I just kind of finish on the 5th of the B string. Now, kind of, you know, the sort of turning around point of would be our 5 chord. Can't remember the name of these chords, but very typical to use over the 5 chord, kind of in relation to. So, you know, first of all, I kind of make this little bar over the first 4 strings on the 6th fret, and then my second finger is on the 7th of the G string, and then little finger on the 9th of the high E. I think I do something like that. Maybe 6 times. The idea coming back down on the 1 as we shift this. Just all move that all up 3 frets. So here it's so, like I say, 6th on the D, 7th on the G, 6th on the B, and 9 on the E. Move all that up 3 frets. So now I'm on 9 on the D, 10 on the G, 9 on the B, and 12 on the E. You know, normally maybe it'd be going into a verse or just sort of the next, you know, the next 12 bars of a solo. On the video, I kind of just actually let it sort of bit of a shake and sustain and stop. So, it, you know, you'd normally be going into something else probably, or even ending it. So let's see. Try that a little slower, so let's see. God, in time maybe. So, right, we'll give that a try, folks, and, you know, put some tabs for this one. And I've got another sort of solo with a different sort of position of, you know, around this 5th fret area, but a different sort of diminished idea. So we'll get that done next. And, yep, so, I'm going to do some finger picking stuff to hopefully get that done tomorrow. Right, so we'll have fun, take care, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.